Hi, my name is William Schaeffer, and today we are going to talk about how to quit smoking cigarettes. This is perhaps the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life, and you will ever do in your life. If you do not smoke cigarettes or you haven't smoked cigarettes, don't bother listening to the rest of this video. You won't get it. You won't understand. It will be meaningless to you. Now, for the rest of us that smoke cigarettes, let's talk about quitting smoking cigarettes. First, let's talk about nicotine. Nicotine is the most addictive drug known to man. Trust me, I know. There is no other drug that you take that you need to take every single hour. Even heroin, you only need to take every 4 to 6 hours. But nicotine, you need to smoke a cigarette every hour. When I smoked a pack and a half a day. That was about 20 to 30 cigarettes a day during my waking hours, only because I couldn't smoke when I was asleep. Now, why do we smoke cigarettes and why do we like nicotine? Nicotine is a stimulant. It is a real stimulant. It makes you live faster. For example, caffeine is not a stimulant. Caffeine only blocks your awareness of being tired. But benzodrine, dexedrine, these are real stimulants. They're called speed. Amphetamines are stimulants. They're called speed. They speed up your central nervous system and your bodily functions. For example, when I smoked cigarettes and I went to the gym, when I would exercise on the Stairmaster, my heart rate got to 25 counts in a 10-second period of time. When I quit smoking cigarettes, within 3 days, I could only get my heart rate to 19 or at the most 20 with great effort in that same 10-second period. And obviously I wasn't smoking in the gym. Smoke based on that informal study, nicotine speeds up your bodily processes by about 20%. And there's many advantages to that. You need less sleep. You need less food. You're more intelligent. You actually think faster and solve problems better. That is an unspoken advantage of nicotine in smoking cigarettes. But now the downside, it's just not healthy. I had to quit. I was coughing in the middle of the night. I liked smoking, but I woke myself up coughing, and I could not continue living under those circumstances. I had to quit. It was unfortunate. It was the most difficult thing I ever did in my life. Don't pretend it's not. It takes a long time. So, nicotine and cigarette tobacco smoke has the unfortunate quality of the molecules have a hook on them. And this hook is a physical hook, the configuration of the atoms of the molecule, and it literally hooks into your lung tissue. And this is what gives you cancer. This is why a lot of people get cancer from smoking cigarette tobacco. It's the nicotine itself that kills you. And you can tell this informally because if someone smokes in a room with fabric, the cigarette smoke stays there. It has hooked into all the fabrics in the room and stayed there, and you will smell it and be able to tell it. That's why cigarette smoke sticks in things. It's that same hook that hooks it into your lungs and gives you cancer. Sorry, fact of life. Side note, marijuana smoke does not have that same hook. and does not lead to cancer in the same way. And you can tell that too if you happen to have been around it, because the smell does not linger in fabrics. Okay, so you decide you have to quit. I decided I have to quit. Disclaimer, there's no easy method. It's torture. Everyone has to decide and find out their own method that works for them. There is no help or advice. You have to travel through the valley of death by yourself, and it sucks. It's terrible. It's the worst thing I ever did in my life, and I'm not kidding. And I got a graduate degree, and I've done a few other things. So you decide you have to quit. Good luck. From here on out, I'm only going to tell you my story, so you can get some encouragement, and you may learn a few things from it. And that's it. And if you find you have to quit smoking cigarettes, then maybe some of the things I did will help you. Because it really ended up being a very good thing for me to quit, but it was very, very difficult. Well, here goes. First, you have to decide that you want to quit. You have to decide that you want to do it. And you have to think about it. And any life-changing event, if it's dramatic, you should prepare for it mentally. I had to. I had to think about quitting smoking for 8 months before I actually did it, before I actually found a space in my life where it would work. And believe me, I was driving to work every morning, smoking my cigarette, going, I hate my life, I hate smoking cigarettes, I need to quit, but still smoking because I couldn't quit. The second thing is you're going to get to a point where you decide it's time to do it. It'll be right for you, and you'll know it. It's time to do it. And when you decide to quit, you have to quit all the way. Now, there's a very few number of people that can just smoke a cigarette once in a while, and they never get addicted. I personally cannot possibly understand that. But 99.99% of all humanity, if they smoke cigarettes, they become addicted. That's why it's a great capitalist product. You get their money. So, you decide you're going to quit. You've made the decision. You quit cold turkey. That's it. You're done. There are some landmarks, some benchmarks along the way that are important. 3 days, 10 days, 30 days, 3 months, 1 year, 3 years, 10 years. Those are really the major landmarks in quitting smoking cigarettes. The most critical is 3 days. The first 3 days are a living hell, and it is almost impossible to go 3 days without smoking cigarettes. If you make it 3 days, you have a chance. And then the next danger point is 10 days. So what I did, and you're welcome to do whatever you want, but what I did is it was August in the early 90s, I forget what year, and I felt a summer cold coming on, and I knew I was going to get sick, and I thought it might be time to quit smoking cigarettes. So I went home, and I was still drinking. I drank a lot of whiskey and smoked a lot of cigarettes, and I woke up the next morning so sick with such a sore throat that I could not smoke, and it was time to quit. So I was sick for 3 days, and I made it to the 3-day point by being sick, and I consciously made myself sick so I could not smoke if I even wanted to. And then from then on, it was willpower. And the first 3 months were extremely difficult, and I was extraordinarily raw emotionally. Now, cigarette smoke and nicotine tends to suppress your emotions. And the reason you smoke is you're using it to compensate for other aspects of your environment that you cannot control. And when you quit smoking, you will be forced to confront those issues. And it takes a long time. It will take you 10 years. It takes 10 years to grow a neuron. It takes 10 years to learn a new skill. And living without cigarettes is a new skill that is very difficult to learn. Trust me, it takes a long time. For me, I spent 5 years gaining weight and then another 5 years learning how to change my diet to lose the weight and get back to my more natural size. And when you quit smoking, you will gain weight also, and you will have to change your diet. Now, you've made it 3 days, 10 days, 30 days. If you've made it a month without smoking cigarettes, and you're honest with yourself, you haven't cheated at all. Because you cheat once. Once, you're done. You're dead meat. You cannot ever pretend to smoke a cigarette ever. Now, the other thing I did at that time to get me through the first 3 months was I drank a lot of beer and I smoked a lot of weed, marijuana. And I could not have quit smoking cigarettes without having those two crutches to assist me. And I'm not necessarily proud of it, but you're going to have extreme difficulties also, and you will gain weight. But you'll learn to deal with it, and you will learn strategies and methodologies for dealing with the problems in your life that you use cigarettes to deal with as a band-aid. Boredom, having the wrong foods to eat, having to work too much sitting down, and on and on and on. But eventually, you're going to get to be a year, and then 3 years, and you'll slowly lose the habit and the familiarity with smoking. And then 10 years, and you'll be a new person. And it's been about 22 years for me. And I haven't cheated at all, and I actually was lucky I lost my desire to smoke. So, if you're trying to quit smoking cigarettes or you're thinking about quitting cigarettes, congratulations. You're about to embark on the most difficult, challenging, mind-numbing, horrendous experience of your life. It is really gonna suck. If you make it through the first 3 months, praise God you're still alive. And you think I'm joking. You think I'm kidding. All you people that never smoke cigarettes. If you make it through the first 3 months, praise God that you're still alive. And you still have a long road ahead of you. But after 10 years, you will be a transformed person. And you will live 10 years. And your life will be better. Now, there's one last thing I have to say about addictions that I forgot. When you give up an addiction, no matter what it is, you are removing the peak experiences of your life. And there's no way around it. That's the way it is. Up to that time, whatever it is, whether it's food or alcohol or cigarettes or drugs or driving too fast in your car or getting into fights or some other crazy, irresponsible behavior that is a thrill, you won't be able to do that. But the thing we don't realize or we forget or we ignore is that there's always a recovery period after the thrill. You always have a hangover after you had a fun night of drinking. And if you get in a fight, you might get injured, and on and on and on. So you have to accept the fact that you're not going to have the peaks in your life that you had before. And cigarettes is the same way. There is nothing as rewarding when you're a smoker as the relaxation you get from lighting up and starting to smoke a cigarette for a 5-minute break. It's a peak experience when you reflect on what your life has been up to that point in the previous hour or two or day. But you also give up the valleys and the troughs. So the mountains are cut off and the valleys are filled in, and you lead a more stable and balanced and boring and regular life. But in the long run, you're happier and you have fewer unpleasant surprises. So that's all I can tell you about quitting smoking cigarettes. I consider it to be one of the most difficult things I did in my life. And I enjoyed smoking cigarettes and I enjoyed nicotine. But it cannot go on forever. And if you smoke, you will have a shorter life with less quality of health. And that's just a fact. So you make your own choice. And if you're trying to quit smoking cigarettes, I hope that I gave you some ideas that were helpful. And good luck and hang in there because you can do it. I know. Thank you and leave your comments below.